Welcome back, creative friends. Today I'm bringing you a project share using the uniquely creative Industrial Edge collection. I say that loosely because I received the papers and one packet of the creative cuts, and I've used that in my project today. The papers are very industrial, great for male-oriented cards or those that are less on the flowery side. Beautiful thick papers, as we've come to expect from this great Australian brand. And I was gifted this from the lovely ladies at Daisy Chain. So thank you for my lovely gift. I will continue to use these papers, but in this project I've used every single one of the creative cuts on these card fronts. So there are three that I chose to pull out to use in a little traveler's notebook spread, and I made one other card that I've already given away, but these are the card fronts utilizing a great mixture of the creative cuts in layered up style. So with the large majority of these cards, I just make a card front and then I finish it off when I've decided who I'm gifting that particular card to. But for these two cards, I've made them for my two nephews who have birthdays very shortly, one in a day or so, which is my nephew Joseph, who's turning 19, and then my nephew Rhodey, exactly 10 years apart. He's turning 29 in March. So I've utilised this collection to specifically make cards for them, and then to follow that theme on to utilise one whole pack of those creative cuts just for a project, to really say I can buy one pack of creative cuts. In my case, I was gifted it, and to pair that with the lovely matching papers. And then I also introduced some stitching, and I pulled some wood veneer from out of my stash and a couple of little gems here and there. And on this particular card and the one for Rhodey, I have made a little shaker frame out of one of the Polaroid frames. So there's some little seed beads in there. So I always work from the top down with these cards. So focusing on the numbers, there's a whole set of numbers in the creative cuts. So last week I pulled out 57 for my brother, 19 for Rhodey, and 29 for Rhodey and 19 for Joseph. And then the remainder of the numbers I've blended in to make patterns. Obviously, I could have pulled out more numbers to find people who were turning particular ages, but for the moment, I've focused on those three males in my life. So from the top down, numbers, and then utilising the layers and even the words in the pack, 19 today, and then adding different little bits of texture so you can see the stitching around that Polaroid frame. There's a circle element that I've then cut the center out of to split it out into two elements, and then generally adding a whole heap of layers and roughing up those edges along the way to build that card. So this card I've then mounted on black and then mounted on white, and I think the white looks okay, but I think what I learnt from using the white there is, yes, it brings in the white in the collection, but many parts of the collection are more beige in colour, so I might choose to use craft cardstock with the remaining cards when I bring those together. So a nice way to get all of those creative cuts working for you, and to certainly use up the end of creative cuts if you're a scrapbooker and you've used parts of them on your pages. So 29, once again focusing on the numbers, different elements stitched, but the same type of pattern with the wood veneer. And then this little shaker has the orange beads in it there that you can see. Also fun to find this 95. Rhodey was born in 1995. So good to bring those elements onto the card. Had a wonderful time making these all layer up in some sort of a pattern that made sense at the time. And then for the more generic cards, I've pulled out a happy birthday die from my stash that I was gifted in a happy mail, and just continued that theme. I did rough up all of the edges of all the little bits of creative cuts just with my fingernail, which is, if you can focus on that, maybe not, but it's damaged as a result. I need to attend to that. So following along that theme, and then I get to the end of the pack and there's just random bits that don't seem to go with anything. So I just built a channel of those embellishments and just continued the channel effect with the stitching down the side of the card there. Doesn't even need to make sense. It's really just about textures and the focus on numbers. And you'll probably find that I'll come along and put a thank you or a happy birthday once I decide how I'm going to utilize. This one here, I've brought in some feature buttons that I also got from Daisy Chain, and then a couple of little buttons from my stash. Going outside the frame sometimes on the card. This little bit of paper here says yesterday, but why not say yes and cover up the today? Following on the theme as we go along, another layered effect of all the elements, cutting up bits of things so that they spread across multiple cards, little bits of ribbon, really using up just bits from your stash, more channeling there. So this is a similar use of numbers to this card, but just used in that different orientation. And then moving on to another similar card, another button, more texture in the layers. This time I utilized the happy birthday in red, and then when I get to putting it together, decide the red doesn't match. So in comes my very trusty alcohol marker. E23 is a very nice shade of brown to tone red down to get it more into the vein of the color that I was using in this particular exercise. And then one more card here where I've utilized the happy birthday. I do double those up for strength, and then this one is popped up because it's attached to the top of that number stack there, so giving a little bit more depth. Thoroughly enjoyed using this range. If you're really in the mood for something that's not so pretty or floral, or you have a lot of male or less feminine individuals in your life, can highly recommend this paper range. Happy birthday to Joseph and to Rhodey. Thank you again, Barbi, for the lovely collection to use. I really enjoyed the challenge of using a whole pack of embellishments on this project. Hope you're finding time to be creative, maybe on something that you don't normally do. Enjoy.